Hello, it's Bio here, founder of Quiet Experts and creator of the Quiet Experts method for introvert entrepreneurs online. And you're welcome to today's Teaching Thursday, which is a day that I dedicate to answering very specific questions that come from people that have joined the group, people just like you, people yet to join the group, and people who are part of our Quiet Experts method implementation program for introvert entrepreneurs online. Now, what I plan to do today is focus on three very specific areas that relate to your target market and, eliminating those problems that make marketing seem like it's a bit of a struggle or a bit of a challenge. I found from my experience and also from the experience of those that we teach and train and also coach, and also from working with other introvert entrepreneurs and other thought leaders who are introverts and experts, that what I'm about to reveal to you exists across all of these different areas. So in other words, you won't find a successful introvert thought leader, expert, mentor, coach, or consultant that doesn't apply these principles that I'm going to share with you today in today's Teaching Thursday, once again, which is the theme for today. You won't find a successful introvert entrepreneur across any target market that offers any particular type of product, program, or service that hasn't got these correct. And if you're struggling right now in your business, or maybe if you just feel that marketing is just one of those big, hairy, audacious goals, BHAG, as I heard someone once mention them, that you can't sort of make your way through, I'm going to reveal to you some of the things that you need to look at now within your business just to make sure they're right and you've thought of them and you can say yes to all of these. If you can't say yes to all of these, there's definitely work that you need to do. So I encourage you to do that. So without further ado, let's dive straight into today's topic. And I have another screen here, so if I look this way, it's not that I'm ignoring you. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Now, I define marketing as doing the right things and doing things right. And that essentially is what this whole marketing thing that we do, whether again we offer products, whether we offer services, or whether we offer productized knowledge, you can do any of those. The key is to make sure that you're doing the right things and you're doing things right. By that, I mean you're doing them in the right way. So a summary of what we'll cover now, you're going to be able to reevaluate where you are now to make sure you're doing the right things and doing them right, which is very important. By the end of this Teaching Thursday session, you'll have clarity on whether the expert service programs or products that you offer are the right ones that fill an identified need and meet specific criteria for a target market, a very defined target market, okay? And you're also going to be able to review what you do currently to find out if everything you do, including your passion, is aligned to sustainable revenue growth and profits. Because let's face it, unless you're a not-for-profit, you do need to have sustainable growth, sustainable revenue, and you have to make profits. And I know that for some people, I've heard a phrase or a statement once where someone said, well, I don't want someone to take out a mortgage in order to afford my services. That's not the right way to think about things. If you can save someone's, I'll just give this example prior to going into the teaching. If there's a couple that are about to go into a divorce, there are young children involved, there's so many different things involved, and you have the skills and the knowledge and the know-how because you've invested in yourself in order to pick up the skills you need, and you save that marriage, would it have been worth it? And remember, you're not going to do this just for one client. There's, rate of divorce is on the rise. So that one skill that you invested in yourself with, in other words, you paid a decent price to get that skill, to hone your skills and knowledge. And you are now going to be paid a decent fee for helping your ideal clients eliminate that big problem of going through a divorce. How much would they have spent if they had to go through a divorce? Hundreds of thousands. What about the children? So the mindset you take into your marketing and everything you do as an introvert entrepreneur online is also very, very important. And I just thought I should mention that because recently I spoke with a coach who was actually in the relationship world, and that was one of the comments that came out. And I I explained what I explained to you just now, because it's very important that your head is in the right place, that you're doing the right things, and you're doing things right. So let's get into this. Let's first talk about your passion. When I talk about passion, how does this fit into marketing? Well, let me ask you the question. If you could serve a certain type of business or individual for free, in other words, you don't have to worry about money, you don't have to worry about bills, what type of business or what type of individual would you serve? Now, you don't have to answer it now. You can, come and watch the video again later on. But what sort of business or what type of individual would you serve? For me, it's all about helping those who have the knowledge, experience, and wisdom, but they're really not leveraging it. They're not putting themselves in front of the right people or doing the right things. And these are introvert entrepreneurs. And thus, this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm helping introvert entrepreneurs, and not just any introvert entrepreneurs online, because the online world, the online business is a totally different ballgame, as you know, from if you're an introvert entrepreneur and you have a service business or maybe a brick and mortar business. So think about that and answer that question. If you could serve, because you don't have to worry about bills, anything at all, what type of businesses or what type of individuals would you serve? The next question is, would you still be excited about serving this particular group that you've identified in the next 3, 5, or even 10 years from now? Or would you have lost interest? I certainly know that I wouldn't have lost interest in people first and foremost, because even as a business coach to corporate organizations, Fortune 500s and FTSE 100 outside of the US, everything I do is still about people, okay? So it would be about people, but what about you? What would it be? Maybe it's not about people. Maybe it's about some other type of structural thing within an organization. But answer this question as well when you watch the video again. Number 3, what things do people sincerely tell you? No, they're not just stroking your ego, but what things do people say that you are good at? And understand that passion is very important when it comes to, what you do as an introvert entrepreneur online, and even as what you do as a person, because who you are at your core is going to shine through. And the 4th question, and each of these, by the way, the 3 areas we're looking at today, each of them, I share with you 4 points, and that's enough for you to get started. In our implementation program, we go into a lot more detail. But number 4, when you think of some things that come to you easy, what are those things? There are things that if I just said to you, could you do X? You could do it easily. You could literally do it in your sleep. But other things, and for introvert entrepreneurs, once again, I know that expressing yourself through video might not be one of the easiest things for you to do. So it's probably way on the left-hand side than the right. But what is that thing, or what are those things? Think about them. Once again, because all of these have to come together to lay the foundations, what I call the pillars of your business and of what you do. And these are keys to your success, because there's no point doing something that you don't enjoy doing, that you struggle your way through it, or even worse still, as I see many introvert entrepreneurs do, they stay away from doing those things. And those things are the things that probably could give them more leverage, could allow them to have more impact, achieve more alone time, but they stay away from them. I've said this many times before, and I'll continue to say it until someone tells me, someone I respect, maybe someone in my mastermind group or one of my mentors says, I think you're very good at X, but I'll continue doing things such as getting in front of the camera to shoot videos. I said this over and over again. And it's in the spirit of authenticity and transparency that sitting in front of a video is not the very first choice for me at all. In fact, let me just know that before I get in front of a video, I probably knocked some lights over. I've, mistakenly switched off my computer. But then you grow into those things. And the way that you grow into the things that you can align with your passion, so you're taking what you're good at and also what you may not be so good at, but that you do need to get good at, you lean into them. And by that, I mean that you expand the things you're passionate about. Why? Because you know that it's not about you. So I just thought I should share that. That's outside of this a little bit, but it still relates to the things people say you're good at. will only carry you so far. And remember, you're in business. So that's passion. Let's now look at the problem you solve. The question I want to ask you that you need to answer is there a clearly defined need for the problem you solve? One of the challenges for introvert entrepreneurs is that we have skills, knowledge, wisdom, experience, and expertise that we either come to us naturally as gifts or talents, but they may not be the things that are needed out there. Well, maybe not all of them, and maybe none of them. Maybe you do need to learn a new skill. Because something is hot in the market, it's a bright, shiny object, doesn't mean that it's necessarily good for you. So the question when it comes to problems that you solve, for you to be able to hone in and narrow down on profitable problems that actually help people eliminate the problems they have and get the solutions that they want they don't have, look at clearly identified needs, and I look at what you are doing just to make sure it meets a clearly identified need. Are there enough businesses or individuals looking for solutions to that problem? Well, that's something you've got to find out, because the fact that Bio likes X doesn't mean that X is going to help me grow my business, or maybe no one cares about X. And that isn't to say that that problem doesn't exist, but it might be that problem, there isn't enough need. In other words, businesses or individuals are comfortable just living with that problem. And I talk about the different types of businesses and individuals you should focus on in some other content videos that I share. So you're welcome to view those as well. Number 3, is the market, the search, growing or for what you offer, or isn't it? If I said to you, if you're one of my implementation program, well, we actually ask all our implementation program clients this question, where's your proof that what you cover is growing, the need for it is growing? And you do that via search, which is something I'm sure you're familiar with, but it's again one of the key pillars to making sure that the problem you solve is important enough and people are motivated to solve the problem, and there is enough search volume. And number 4, what qualifies you? What qualities rather do you bring to the table? So, in other words, if you solve, which I hope you do right now, a specific problem, challenge for your ideal audience or ideal target market, what makes you different from those who seem like they are your competition? The fact that you're a coach, in all due respect, or a consultant, that doesn't matter. That is a category of a business professional. So when you say, well, I'm a coach, I'm a published author, I'm a speaker, a consultant, whatever it is, whether business consultant, small business or other type of business consultant, whether you're a life coach or a business coach, that doesn't really matter. That is a category of the type of professional you are, which, by the way, means nothing. Okay? When people say, I need a coach, what they're really saying is, I need someone who can help me solve specific problems. But it's not about them. This is about you and your marketing. To overcome those marketing challenges, what makes you any different from those who appear to do exactly the same thing that you do? Is it that you can solve the problem faster, cheaper, in a better way? So think about that as well. And if your answer is, well, I'm just doing it the way that I've been shown, or that I know to do it, that may not be enough. And that may be part of the reason why marketing feels like such a heavy load, or something that just isn't working for you. So these are the 4 questions related to the problem you solve. Let's look at the last, for this Teaching Thursday, let's look at the last area of marketing, and that is revenue growth and profit potential. Now, I've mentioned this earlier on, but it bears mentioning again. Unless you are a not-for-profit, you've got to generate revenue and you've got to generate profits as well, okay? I think let's get that out of the way. So what are the 4 questions that I'd like you to answer here? Number 1, can your ideal client afford to invest in what you have? If they can't, there's a mismatch between what you're doing and who you're targeting. What is the size of your target audience or your target market? Again, you've got to be able to understand what this is. Do you know your key numbers? I don't like numbers. Well, I like the numbers that come from serving and being paid, but numbers is not my strong point at all. But that's not an excuse not to know the numbers in our business. You see, one of the reasons why people shy away from paid advertising is because they don't understand their numbers. They don't understand how much they can afford to spend on advertising. They don't understand how much they can afford to spend on lead generation. They don't understand things like cost per lead. They don't understand if to say they offer strategy sessions, which is where obviously they talk to people to sort of identify where they are and what their problems are. If they don't understand how much they can afford for a strategy session, then they shy away once again from doing these things. And this is where a lot of the problems that I see people encountering, introvert entrepreneurs online and others who aren't introvert entrepreneurs, not knowing their return on investment. And that word it's a bit like a buzzword, but it's an important word. It's not just a buzzword. You have to know how much. It's not good enough to say, well, I'll just spend $3 a day on advertising because it sounds like it's not a lot. That's not the right way to do it. You do have to know your numbers. And I just mentioned some of those numbers right now. Obviously, we can't go into all that detail here. And then finally, is there a possibility for you to create a source of recurring revenue in your business for the solution that you provide? In other words, you might offer what you do as one-on-one, which is definitely not leveraged. It's definitely not the best, no matter what anyone says, because you only got so many hours in the day. It may be that you offer it as a leveraged program, and it may be that you actually have online courses that, again, solve that specific problem that you offer. And the reason why recurring revenue is great is that while you're dealing with people in your one-on-one or your leverage setting, over here, you're taking the same information but providing it maybe through a course where people don't have access to you, or a course where people do have access to you. And this is what this whole thing is about. That's what recurring revenue is about. I mean, I don't need to teach you what it's about, but just so you know that as an introvert entrepreneur online, it's one of the best ways for you to create awareness for what you do, to serve different types of clients who can only afford different levels of investment in themselves with you. It's a great way to build your credibility without bragging. It just has so many benefits. So if you're not offering, if you don't have, and it may be that what you do doesn't have the opportunity for recurring revenue, but after so many years in doing this business, I would argue with you that if I looked at your business, I would possibly, together, we'd possibly be able to find sources of recurring revenue. So as they say, just saying. All right, so that really covers the three areas that I wanted to cover with you today on today's Teaching Thursday. This is a bit longer than usual, and it's because I promised that I'd cover some of these things over the last number of weeks, and I didn't have the opportunity or the bandwidth to do it. This, by the way, these topics skim the surface of what we cover in the Quiet Experts Method implementation program for introvert entrepreneurs. And if you feel like you'd like to check that out, well, schedule some time for us to talk in the first instance, and we'll see, what your business is about, what your business needs. And as I often say, it's a RAG audit, results, actions, and goals, because those things, just like what I showed you now, all need to have been thought through and come together. And it's really not as hard as it sounds or as people make it out to be. That's it's been Bio here, and thanks for watching today's topic, Teaching Thursday. I get these daily themes because if you're a member of the Quiet Experts group on Facebook, that's the other thing. I invite you to join us in the Quiet Experts group. Just go to facebook.com/groups Quiet Experts and join us in the group. Our goal is to change 1 million lives collectively by helping each other and reaching out to the world. But what I wanted to say was we do have daily themes for each day of the week. And I provide content, share, do other things, and so do members of the community. And I'd welcome you on board if you are an introvert entrepreneur online and you're looking for a like-minded community, you're looking for a place to grow, share your knowledge, and join us in that overall goal. So I think that's everything I wanted to say and I wanted to teach. Well, that's it. Goodbye. I'll talk to you again soon.